thank you for joining me for the Vampire Talk Show. I'm your host, Val Val to my friends. My roommate discovered my coffin under the concrete floor of the basement in her new house and woke me up from a 100-year nap. Now, I'm reconnecting with old friends, making new ones, and of course, making a podcast. We have a very special edition of the Vampire Talk Show tonight. But first, let's talk about drag. Drag, an art form of gender exaggeration and entertainment, has been around for centuries. In fact, legend has it that we have Shakespearean-era theater to thank for the term. Women were not really accepted to play parts in plays, so the female roles went to men with the term drag in the margin, meaning dressed resembling a girl. Again, legend has it. Doesn't mean it's true, but it's lovely to think that Shakespeare may have had a hand in one of the most popular art forms of today. I am not new to the drag scene. Back in 1920s New York, where and when I am from, I took part in what was called the pansy craze. It was an underground sort of thing, in exclusive clubs and house balls in Harlem during its renaissance. There was some crossover with mainstream media here and there, drag queens appearing in Hollywood films. But then, the dreaded Hays Code and the American Roman Catholics led a crusade against LGBTQ folks, and then was back in private homes and underground clubs. Imagine my surprise and delight when I woke up and I could watch drag performances all day long on a television set, a computer, and a phone, even at the same time. RuPaul has taken the mainstream by storm with an army of fabulously clad drag queens. The culture of drag has, in many ways, stayed the same, but now it seems to be more inclusive. There are drag kings, trans drag, non-binary drag, genderfuck drag, pageant drag, and the list goes on. Seeing all this gender exploration in an entertainment medium makes my heart sing. Luckily for me, there's a gay bar close by where I can go and support local drag performers, which is equally important to the culture. By all means, be fans of Trixie Mattel, and Katya, and Alaska Thunderfuck, and Jinx Monsoon. But lurking in your own community are drag queens that work just as hard, if not harder, than those TV stars, and could really use your love and support. Tonight's guest is my producer, roommate, and friend, Ali Baughman. She is a Jill of all trades, dabbling in drag kinging, burlesque, paranormal investigating, writing, and of course, podcasting. Welcome, Ali. Thanks for having me, Val. It's kind of weird to be on this side of the microphone. Yes, I'm sure. So, Ali, I just wanted to have you on the show because you are a very big part of it. So I wanted the listeners to get to know you a little bit. Like you said, I do drag and burlesque and podcasting and paranormal investigating. I have 3 cats, a husband, and yeah. I also identify as queer, and I'm also like a witch. So what you're saying is you are firmly on the outskirts of normalcy, yes? I think that's a fair assumption, actually. In terms of what it's like living with a vampire, how has it been for you? And please be very honest. Yeah, I'll be honest. So it was really surprising to find you in the basement when I was putting the sub pump in. And it was jarring because it's not every day that you see a coffin in concrete and you open it and there's a person in there. And not to be rude or anything, but you definitely looked really rough. Oh, yes, I know. I looked very rough. It's because I was without blood for 100 years. Yeah. No, and I'm very glad that you didn't, suck me dry when you got out of there. Yes, it was really hard to control myself, but I'm glad that at the last minute I was able to satiate the hunger pangs with, a leftover steak you had upstairs. But now that, I'm firmly out of concrete and, we have a consensual blood exchange relationship, how is it living with a vampire? I mean, it must be difficult because of our switch schedules and whatnot. Actually, it's not really that bad, and it hasn't really changed anything because a lot of the stuff that I do is at night anyway. I mean, that's why my media company is called Opus Nox Media. It roughly translate to night work. Yes, Opus Nox Media. Go to opusnoxmedia.com to support Ali's endeavors. And you recently celebrated your third year of podcasting. Is that correct? Yeah. I started podcasting during the pandemic, so in 2020. Um, because I think, like everybody else, I was just looking for something to do. And it was easy for me to do that with my husband and partner, Rob, because uh, we have such a rapport anyway. I mean, we're married, we're best friends, so it just seemed kind of a natural thing to do a podcast. And what podcast was that? It was called Deuces Are Mild. We keep talking about bringing it back, but a lot of other things have come up, so no offense. Oh, none taken. And Rob is such a lovely person. Like, in terms of, straight white men, he's really not that bad. Yeah, I try not to hold it against him. But yeah, so we had a podcast called Deuces Are Mild, and we would just like watch uh, a sequel to like popular movies and then just review the sequel part. And some of them you didn't really know were had sequels. Like there's a Roadhouse 2 and a Mean Girls 2, and it's really bizarre some of the things that happen. So yeah, that was just something that we started to do. And then I wanted to start producing because I'm really not that great on the microphone. Really? So you found out through podcasting that actually producing is more your speed than hosting. Oh yeah, yeah. That became really apparent like the third or fourth episode in because I am not as quick witted or eloquent as my partner. Or as some of the people that I know. And I mean, luckily, you seem to be more eloquent and put together, and you can think quickly on your feet. Oh, darling, that is such a wonderful compliment. Thank you so much. But I'm sure if you thought about it and if you practiced, you could be an amazing host. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't really like being myself that much, so that might be part of the problem. Like, if it's just me, I'm actually kind of shy, and uh the only time that I really come out of my shell is when, I'm doing drag or burlesque, or if I'm in like big groups of people, and I just kind of put on like a little persona, and so it's easier to do things if I'm not really myself. Does that seem bad? Doesn't seem great, I'm gonna say. It seems like you might be afraid to show people who you really are. And who knows, and maybe all of these personas that you have, might be you in toto, basically. Yeah, I guess that's pretty spot on. So Val, I've been meaning to ask you, uh, if you don't mind me asking you a question. Of course not, darling. I am an open book. Anybody can ask me anything they want. Well, I've been thinking about it, and so you're from New York. Yes. From the 1920s. Yes. How did you end up embedded in concrete in Maryland? Hmm. That is a very good question. It's all a bit fuzzy. Waking up in a new century might have distracted me from trying to figure out how I got here and just trying to, adapt to today, which I have you to thank for the most part. You're welcome. Yeah, not a problem, but I still think it's a little weird that, you know, you were embedded in concrete. Like, you didn't do that yourself. Like, somebody had to have done that for you. Yes. Although I really don't picture myself asking anyone to embed me in concrete for 100 years. It was honestly hell on earth. I mean, were you, like, awake for any of that? I was for a bit. And, get very hungry, but luckily, vampires are able to put themselves in a hibernation state once they reach a certain level of blood in their system. So once I had gotten to about 50% of my body mass, I went into a hibernative state. So like a bear or that sort of thing for so like hibernation sort of thing, but like for years. Yes. And I suppose, I would have stayed that way for however long until somebody came along and dug me up. Luckily, it was you. Yeah. Lucky me. What was that supposed to mean? Oh, no, 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 no. I like living with you. It's cool. Like vampires are cool. Like they always have been. I've been into vampires. I'm kind of a goth person, so it's like comes with the territory. Ali, do you want to be a vampire? Uh, you know, I didn't think it was a possibility, but then I dug you up out of my basement, so I have been thinking about it, and I think I would not want to be a vampire. Oh, really? Why? I like the beach too much. I am a sun person for sure, but I mean, I stay in the shade and everything. I just like being around sunny places and whatnot. And I still haven't been to like the Bahamas and stuff, so like it would be nice to do that at some point and not have to worry about bringing like native dirt with me and whatnot. Yes, that is the downside of traveling as a vampire. We do have to take our home soil with us if we leave for extended periods of time. Where's your home soil? Oh, for me, I am from England originally. Um, oh, so that's what that accent is? No, 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 no. My accent is transatlantic, quite popular in the 1920s, Cary Grant and whatnot. And actually, so no, even if I were to still talk like I did 600 years ago, you would not be able to understand me really because English was not what we hear today. Even in England, it was more Germanic sounding. It was basically, if you read any Chaucer, original Chaucer, Canterbury Tales and whatnot, the language and the accents are much different, and they do sound a bit French and Germanic. So no, this is a transatlantic accent that I picked up while, being a gossip columnist in New York in the 1920s. Makes sense to me. So you have some of that dirt? Yes, I have some dirt from England, from back in the early 1400s. It's just in a little baggie that I keep with myself, just throw it in a purse or, whatever. So, they make like necklaces and stuff that are like little bottles, little vials and stuff. Would that work? Like if you put dirt in that? I suppose it would do the same trick, yes. Because people always think that you have to be like buried in the dirt or have a lot of it or it's all you can. No, you just need like a little bit. Why why is that? I mean, like what is the mechanism there? I believe it's supposed to be a tethering sort of thing. So that vampires, I think the original thing is that vampires had to stay in their native land and whatnot because then, if you had like a bunch of vampires that could travel, it would be like a plague of locusts basically. I guess that makes sense. So, Ali, you do drag as a drag king. Yeah, I have a drag king persona called Damien Poe, and I perform at our local gay bar and the lodge. Shout out to the lodge. And I I don't perform as often as I would like to, but when I do, it just feels so warm and fuzzy. And like I consider myself gender queer, so I actually, some days I feel like a woman, some days I feel more masculine, like a man. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm trans or non binary. It's just like, it depends on the day. And I mean, that goes for a lot of things about me. Like, depending on the day, yeah, my tastes change, and everything. So, yes, and I suppose, things change when you are performing and whatnot. Yeah, actually, it's kind of weird. Like when I am in drag, when I'm Damien Poe, I like to, drink beer. And then if I'm my burlesque persona, Scarlet Ropeburn, she's more of a tequila sunrise person. Helps her take her clothes off, I suppose. Uh, yeah. What does Allie like to drink? Allie likes weed. um, when I perform, I feel like an alcoholic beverage or two can loosen me up enough and without me getting sloppy and whatever. But I don't think I could ever perform like high. But if it's me and I'm like hanging out with people and going to a party or whatever, I'll do a little edible and you know, not like too crazy. I'm not like smelling colors and, seeing sounds and stuff. Yes, I know of what you speak because you are so gracious as to let me partake of your blood whenever you are on edibles. Yeah. So how does that feel for you? Because I we've talked about it, but maybe we can tell the listeners how this works. Yeah, well, I when you first like were okay after coming out of the coffin and like you were kind of settled in and everything and you had been going out and you know draining people. I mean, not to the point of killing or anything, but like, you know, you would go out and get food and come back and I just thought that maybe, you know, if if it doesn't turn me into a vampire, what's the harm? And, I like hanging out with you and I, don't want you to have to like leave all the time. So if it's just easier to feed on me, Yes. And I do appreciate that you do take care of yourself and have like, B complex vitamins in your diet. It is quite helpful. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you take a lot or anything. It's not like a harmful amount. It's, just a little bit, which is fine. How does your husband feel about that? Eh, he's okay with it. I mean, Yeah, I mean, he's living with a vampire too. Luckily, he seems to like you. It's like having another pet for him, I think. Really? I'm a pet. I'm a pet to him? Well, kind of. I mean, because you're kind of elusive, you're like in the house, but like, he doesn't interact with you that much. Yes, I don't really get the pleasure because he does work during the day, um, when I'm sleeping, and then at night he's playing video games and whatnot, and that's not really my scene. Yeah, and I know you really aren't into some of the movies that we watch. Yes, those awful, awful films. Yeah, but they're bad in a good way. Like, we really love watching horrible, horrible movies that are so bad that they're good. And you just can't help but laugh and riff on them and stuff. I suppose, but I mean, do you ever get tired of watching bad movies? Don't you ever crave like good cinema? Of course. I mean, I didn't go to school for film or anything. I went for English and literature. And so of course I like, good stuff that you can think about and whatever else. It's just uh it's less to think about and after like going through a pandemic and everything, it's better to have things that I don't really have to like worry about. And sometimes like good movies can really like emotionally eviscerate you like in the best way, but like also, like my emotional well-being and capacity for rough content has diminished quite a bit since the pandemic. So, yeah. But I mean, I like last night I went and saw Ran uh at the movie theater because it was on the big screen for a Film League movie club, and it was fantastic and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Rob didn't like it, but that it's not for everybody. Yes, I'm sort of glad that I didn't go after Rob's review I heard last night. Yeah, well, I don't know if he can give like a solid review because he was definitely snoring through like the good chunk of the middle part. So, I don't think he really got the whole thing anyway. Yes, well, poor dear. I guess you're lucky he loves you so much. Definitely, definitely lucky. Cuz I mean, he puts up with a lot, you know? I mean, it's not every day that I that somebody goes to their partner and says, "Hey, so you know that sub pump that we put in the basement? Well, a vampire has been in that hole for like 100 years. Do you mind if she lives with us?" Yes, I suppose that could be jarring. And trust me, I am quite grateful. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's not really much to you. I mean, in terms of like space and whatever. I mean, you literally in a coffin in the basement like all day, and then you come out at night, you hang out. You don't eat any of our food. Like I said, it's it is kind of like having another cat. I don't think that's such an insult, to be honest. I quite like your cats, by the way. They are so adorable. Except that orange one, he is quite aggressive. Not as aggressive as he used to be. He is definitely calmed down in his old age. He used to attack me for no reason at all. Like, even while I was sleeping, like, I'd be sleeping in bed, and in the middle of the night, he would pounce on my head and just start just biting. Oh my goodness. And that must have been harrowing. Yeah. It was horrible. And it was terrible too because like I was the one that saved him. He was a 5-week-old kitten in the middle of a busy road. And I told Rob to stop the car. I ran out into traffic, grabbed him, and then we took him home. So, and I was the one to save him. And guess what? He's totally Rob's cat. That doesn't seem fair at all. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, he is he is so cute and adorable, but like, and he's so soft. Like he has the softest fur, but he doesn't want anyone to touch him except for Rob. It is so annoying. Yes, I have seen some of your friends come by, and they are very intrigued with the orange one. Louis is his name, which I appreciate after watching Interview with Vampire. Um, he's not named after Louis from Interview with the Vampire, is he? No. He's actually named after Louis Carte. He was a painter in the 1920s. So, yeah, we have a lot of his artwork in the lounge. Yes. Oh, yes. Now I remember. Anyway. Oh, yes. I've seen your friends come over and just see Louis as a challenge. Like they need to befriend him for some reason. That oh, I'm going to win him over. Yes, yes, I know. I actually have someone coming over this weekend that is exactly like that. Um, and I say good luck to you. So, how is it for you living with a human? Oh, it's really not that bad. I mean, luckily, you and Rob are, not assholes or anything. You just have bad taste in movies, and you have three rambunctious kitties, but, uh, it's not bad. I could have had worse company. I mean, before I was here, I actually lived in a flat with four other vampires, and it was not the most comfortable situation. We were all females, and we were all flappers, basically, and, going to parties and whatnot, and, rubbing elbows with a lot of the same people. And sometimes, somebody's meal was somebody's boyfriend or, you know, uh, that sort of thing. It doesn't really work. When vampires live together, it kind of takes the fun out of being a vampire because you're not really special anymore. So, me being a vampire living with a couple of regular humans, like, seems like a good deal to me. Yeah, I bet. So, do you like doing the vampire talk show? Like, are you having a good time? I am having a ball with the vampire talk show. It is such an amazing outlet for me. I get to talk to so many wonderful people. All of the guests that we've had on the show so far have just been absolute wonderful people, and cryptids and aliens and whatever. Um, and I'm quite lucky that the technology is here for us to record. And you have such a wonderful studio, so comfortable for all of our guests. How about you? I mean, you're the one producing everything. Like, are you liking this? Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. It's one of the most fun projects I've ever done, and it's you know, kind of weird having so many different creatures and stuff through here. Things that I didn't even know existed sometimes. Um so it's been kind of eye-opening, which is very cool, especially as a paranormal investigator. Like it's pretty dope to have a couple of ghosts just like wander in and, do a podcast. Yes, paranormal investigating. Uh can you say more about that? Yeah, I mean, I'm not like like a super investigator person. Like I do it for fun. I don't do like TV shows or anything like that. Like paranormal TV is, you know, okay sometimes, but for the most part, it's just something fun to do with friends, go to like a really spooky place and talk to the darkness and, do like an Estes session and play with a Ouija board. And, it's fun and it's spooky and scary. And sometimes you get some really cool, stuff out of it. Like I've had some very weird things happen. And you also work at the local theater, do you not? And that place is haunted. Yeah, I mean, so all theaters are haunted. I have a theory that they're all haunted for two reasons. Number one, because of all of the emotional energy that has gone through that place, through performance and like audience reaction. And two, because I think like living people, non-living people want a place to go to be entertained. So I think they hang around and they like to be around, when there's plays and stuff. And so yeah, I think all theaters are haunted. My theater, Act Black Box Studio, is definitely haunted, and I would like to investigate it more. And there's, I'd like to take more people and whatever else. And I have a deal with the theater that I can take groups in and whatever. So it's pretty fun. Where was the last place that you investigated? Last place I investigated. Where was it? Man, I think it was the Shanley in New York. Which was pretty fun. I went with a big group of people. For a backer perk for backing the Build Out horror movie, which is coming out soon. And we were there with Greg and Dana Newkirk, which was cool. And we all did like the Estes method and everything. It was very fun. Oh, how delightful. Well, I'm sure it was quite spooky. Yeah, it's a really haunted place. We were getting a lot of activity and but it was kind of on the sad side of things, which I'm not all about. Like when it comes to paranormal stuff, I like to have fun and I like to not take everything so seriously. There's a lot of people that are taking the paranormal to a weird place where it's like everything's a demon, or they want to start some sort of drama or whatever. And it's like I wish people could just go back to like why they started doing stuff with the paranormal. It was about going out with your friends to a spooky place and having a good time and trying to figure out what's on the other side. And if there is a another side, we don't know what we're talking to. We don't have any proof. It's not a scientific thing. It's a exploration that's also just a blast to do. So, well, I think with all that said, why don't we get into some paranormal gossip? Ali, you're still the producer. Right. Sorry. Let me just hit that button. For this week's paranormal gossip, we have a personals ad. Phantom kangaroo seeking real kangaroo. Would love a shot at real love and commitment. I can be shy, but I am also quite transparent, literally. I tend to roll deep with my other phantom kangaroo pals around the world. Do you like to travel? My hobbies include confusing humans and causing mass hysteria. Please, no wallabies need apply. If you have a bit of gossip, a missed connection, or personals ad to share with the show, please email thevampiretalkshow@gmail.com or slide into my DMs on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, or TikTok. Ali, thank you so much for being my guest tonight. And I guess we'll chat soon again. Thanks for having me, Val. It's been weird, which, is a good thing. Absolutely. By the way, Ali, do you know that people think we're the same person? Really? Why? I think it has something to do with how we look and our voices and that sort of thing. I don't see it. Neither do I. All right, kiddies, that's all for tonight. And remember, embrace the dark, the strange, and unusual. It just may embrace you back. Thanks to me for being the guest today. You can find me on Twitter as AliciaFaye6. Check out opusnoxmedia.com for other projects that I do. Instagram, Penny Lane, the L is a 1. Check out actforall.org for upcoming shows that I direct and that I'm in Hagerstown, Maryland. Please consider becoming a Patreon member of the show. You can be a Baby Bat Sticker Club member where you get stickers every month, or you can be a Tarot Speakeasy member where you can get a tarot reading and tarot cards sent to you every month. Please subscribe on patreon.com/The Vampire Talk Show. This has been an Opus Nox Media production. To find out more, go to opusnoxmedia.com.